Hello, welcome to part two of the Kayanase Youth Connect for Species at Risk presentation. So, part two of the presentation, we're going to cover the project overview or summary for AFSAR. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing coconut fiber mesh. It's about 5 to 6 feet wide. And it's going to cover the shoreline at the toe or the base or where the water meets the land. So the length of the project, the physical length of the project, is about 322 feet of shoreline that is of immediate concern. And the cocoa fiber we have on hand, we have about 276 feet of fiber to use. So we're not going to cover the entire 322 feet of shoreline with cocoa fiber, but we should be able to cover the whole length with willow stakes. And so we're going to focus the cocoa fiber on some of the high erosion areas and try to install it there and hope to reduce some of the impacts of flooding and climate change that have been happening on the shoreline. So we're also going to try to identify opportunities for further enrichment. And so I mentioned in the previous video participants volunteering and interested parties. And so there are people interested in improving the habitat around the river, and we're going to look at some opportunities for that in the following slide. And then the actual installation of live stakes. So live stakes are cuttings of willows and other species such as dogwoods and things like elderberry and buttonbush. These are all shrubs, woody shrubs that grow readily when you cut them. So you cut the woody stem into a stake, like think about like vampires and wooden stakes, something similar to that. So you cut the tree, the small tree, the shrub, you chop it up into stakes, you shove those into the mud, and they grow. They grow into sort of clones of the original tree that you cut. And you can stabilize soil this way. So the roots, they start to take root and they stabilize with the roots, and so the soil is less likely to wash away during floods and seasonal floods and storm floods, and they provide a bunch of other benefits. We also have, I believe in the budget we have enough for a seed mix of riparian species. We'll talk about riparian stuff later on, but so a mix of sedges, which are sort of grass-like plants that like to live in wet areas, monkey flower, marsh pepper, which is smartweed, which we use in Six Nations to make brine pickles. So it's culturally relevant, and blue flag iris. It's a beautiful flowering plant that grows in marshy or wet areas or riparian areas. And those are what we have on hand to purchase for immediate installation on this project. So it's in abundance, it's on hand, and we can install it right away with this project this spring. So this is sort of an overview of the overall site. So that's me. For reference, that's me. So pretty good distance with the drone. This is our project area. So nonlinear measurement. So the nonlinear measurement. So it's not 322 feet straight across. It's 322 feet along this shoreline edge, which I measured physically. Okay. So it's a pretty good chunk of land, pretty good chunk of area. And this is sort of the estimated zone we're going to be working in. These are the areas we want to install the cocoa fiber. So we have it's not exact measurements. It's just an estimation of exactly where those cocoa fibers are going to cover and provide some of the benefit. But the whole area will hopefully be have the live stakes installed to stabilize this area of shoreline, hopefully. And I talked about identifying areas for further habitat work for future enrichment. These triangles represent submerged Christmas trees, which is a common practice for improving habitat. And this circle here is a area of concern. So the land here used to come right to the edge of this concrete, and we can see that this whole section has been washed away. So this is another area of concern that's not part of the project, but it's something that probably should be looked at. These aren't exactly where the Christmas trees or submerged log jams and things could go. They're just examples of where they could go, where they might be installed and provide benefit to fish and other wildlife, and enrich the river in this section. But yeah, really interesting chance for like an opportunity to improve the habitat and improve fishing and all kinds of things, improve our access to medicine for the community. Yeah. And the next video, we're going to cover off the species.